Inflation still, though, remains pretty high, and we're talking about borrowing costs also remaining very, very high. What does that mean in terms of what policymakers like yourself can do to boost growth in the economy?
Yeah, well, let me say that inflation has peaked. I think we're pretty sure that the 13% inflation is a peak. Actually, for example, the food price inflation is already declining, and inflation for the poor households is declining too. So it's because of some services in particular that the inflation continues to be at the 13% level. So I think this is going to be. But there are many other positive things. For example, producer prices are increasing about 7%. This is the first one-digit inflation that we have had in several months, let's say. So that's, I think the trends are positive. In terms of borrowing costs, by the way, they have declined substantially for our government bonds. Now, for example, yesterday, the interest rate on the 2024 bond for Colombia was about 10.5%, which is much less actually than the central bank rate, which is 13%. So the trend is also positive. They also, some banks have also offered to reduce the interest rate for low, let's say, small loans, let's say.
Colombia's peso has also been pretty strong. How helpful is that, and why is that strength there? Is it from rate differentials?
Well, I think the peak that we had in October of last year was based on wrong expectations, let's call it. And fortunately, the correction has taken place, and particularly over the last month or so, it has been quite impressive, actually. So we're now with an exchange rate which is more like the one we expected.
What are your expectations for oil prices, given that you're a big producer?
Well, I think we expect them to remain relatively high this year. Well, more with the decision of the OPEC to reduce supply. But the medium term will be a declining price. For example, since we have a special windfall tax for oil producers, we expect the tax to be the highest this year, but to gradually decline in the next years because of the expectation of falling prices.